Of all the YouTube channels in all the towns in all the world, you've just walked into mine. So welcome. Today we're going to talk about Jurassic Park and how it changed my life forever. Bold statement? Yes, but it's absolutely true. Jurassic Park was the movie that made me love film, that turned me into a film fan. So, in order for you to understand this, we have to go back in time, back to 1993 when the film was released. I was just 4 years old when the film came out, and I remember vividly that before it came out, there was a lot of hype. It was an event, and that's the best way to describe it. Everyone was talking about it. My friends were talking about it. My family was talking about it. Everyone in the press was talking about this film that was going to show us for the first time real-looking dinosaurs. There was a lot of hype surrounding the film. There was also a lot of merchandise. They were selling merchandise everywhere, especially toys. And for a 4-year-old, that was just great. I remember walking into my toy store and they had this giant display which was the Jurassic Park gate, and on the sides they would have the action figures and the dinosaurs. So yeah, it's an understatement just to mention that I was excited for the film. And it's one of my most remembered theater experiences ever. I went to watch the film one night with my mom, a couple of my uncles, and my cousins. And as I sat there, not only was I excited, but I was a little bit scared too. Because my cousin told me, he just leaned over and told me, you see those curtains? Yeah, well, the dinosaurs are hiding behind them, and they're going to come out during the film. So yeah, I was a bit scared as I started watching the film. I thought the dinosaurs were real and they would come out. But as the film progressed, just the fear turned into more excitement, and my mind was blown away. It was glorious, you know. The T-Rex came on screen. I was just like, oh my god, what is this? And then the Velociraptors came on screen. And then the finale, it was just perfect. And when the film ended, and this is the point where I realized, that something had changed. I was like, I want to see more of this. And not only because of the dinosaurs, but the whole experience. For me, it was not just about seeing the dinosaurs. It was about the adventure, the ride. I wanted to be inside the film. Maybe not being chased by dinosaurs. Well, scratch that. I think it would be amazing just to be chased by a T-Rex. But I was just like, I want to feel like this again. I want to be transported into another world. And so Jurassic Park opened the doors for more films. And I started to seek them out. I started to seek films that might be similar to Jurassic Park. And the first criteria that I took was, well, more Steven Spielberg films. And that led me to E.T. and Indiana Jones. And that later turned into drove me to James Bond, which is my favorite film franchise of all time. And that was all due to Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was the film that really made me love movies. It's the film that made me realize what my passion in life was. While other kids were perhaps focusing on sports and they were loving sports, for me it was watching films. And ever since then, I started to explore new films. So while my friends were watching Disney animated films, I was going on to the Indiana Jones series, E.T., Alien, and so on and so forth. And ever since then, I've been a movie fan, as you can probably tell. And that was all due to Jurassic Park. So, full disclosure, I'm going to review the film, but it's going to be a very, very, very biased review. As you can probably tell, and as I've just told you, I love this film. I've watched it more times than I can remember. Back as a kid, after I saw it in theaters, I would watch it on VHS. And yes, this is my VHS copy, and it's very worn out, and that can just lead you to how many times I watched it when I was a kid. Then came the DVD. And nowadays, since I refuse to watch it on streaming, I have my Blu-ray copy of the trilogy right here. I've also been very fortunate enough to watch it twice in theaters, and this was after the original release. The first time was the 3D re-release that was a couple of years ago, and then back in 2017 there was the 25th anniversary fan event at Universal Studios Hollywood, and I got to watch it on the big screen. And the event was attended by Laura Dern, who plays Ellie Sattler in the film, Frank Marshall, one of the producers, and Colin Trevorrow, the director of Jurassic World. And that was just a glorious experience for me. It was a fantastic experience as a fan, and I'll cherish it forever. So yeah, this, I usually try to be very objective when I review a film, but this is not the case. But don't worry, I'm going to try to tell you basically why I think this is such a fantastic film, why Jurassic Park endures as a classic. And yes, there are some minor things that still bug me with this film. But, even in spite of those, I still think it's a fantastic film. So, without further ado, let's get into Jurassic Park. So, hold on to your butts. So let's talk about the story. As you probably know, Jurassic Park is based on Michael Crichton's novel of the same name. And this is one of those rare instances where I actually prefer the film over the novel. I think it works better. Let me explain. The novel is very mystery-centric. It's driven by a mystery as to what is happening with the dinosaurs. Have they gotten out of the island? Are they breeding? And the film ditches that. And the film just chooses to focus more on the adventure side, on the journey the characters go through. And this allows the plot to move at a brisk pace, and it really never stops. There's also one other element that really helps the film, and that's the characters are way more likable in the film than they are in the novel. That really, really helps because you actually care about the characters and the dangers they're going through. But the film, one of the things that I love about it is that just as exciting as it is, it also offers moments for the audience to breathe and to get to know the characters. And some of the quieter scenes are actually some of my favorites. Take, for example, the Mr. DNA sequence, which is just brilliant. It's a brilliant way of dumping a whole lot of exposition to the audience in a very simple and fun way. Another scene that I just absolutely adore, it's the scene where Alan and the kids are on the tree, which is accompanied by John Williams' lullaby, A Tree for My Bed. I get very emotional during that scene. I don't know why, but perhaps it's Sam Neill's performance, but I love that scene, and there is actually not a lot of dialogue in it. In contrast, the following scene, which features a lot of dialogue, is actually one of my favorites as well, and that's the scene in which Ellie and Hammond are discussing Hammond's dream. That scene is just brilliantly performed by both Richard Attenborough and Laura Dern. And finally, I love any interaction that John Hammond has with Ian Malcolm. They're so fun together. They have wonderful chemistry. Richard Attenborough and Jeff Goldblum. It's just so much fun just seeing them together. And Jeff Goldblum actually has my favorite line of the entire film when he's talking to John Hammond, and it's this scene that this is my favorite line.
When they opened Disneyland in 1956, nothing worked.
Yeah, but John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
So let's talk about the direction of the film. It's Steven Spielberg. Do I need to say more? Well, yeah, of course I do. This is a review. It's just brilliant. It is truly brilliant. What he does with the camera, with the lighting, with everything, it's just amazing. And Jurassic Park, I think, is a masterclass in directing. I just want to talk about a few examples that I think just showcase how great the talent that he has to offer. Let's talk, for example, the lighting of the scenes, brilliant. I love the beams. I know it's become a Spielberg trademark, but every time I see it, I love it. Whether it's E.T., Jurassic Park, or Jaws, it enhances the scene. I don't know why, but I love that effect. The way that he moves the camera, the way, for example, that he shoots the dinosaurs. It's meant to emphasize how small the human characters are in comparison to the dinosaurs. For example, look at the T-Rex scene where the T-Rex leg stumps the ground, and you have in the first plane of the shot, it's the leg, and in the background you've got both Lex and Alan, and you just see this leg is way bigger than they both are, which is emphasizing how big and dangerous the T-Rex is. Same thing happens when they first see the Brachiosaurus, and they're looking up and the camera just pans up, and it's basically like you can't go any further because this thing is huge. Talking about that scene, one of the things that I love about it is the fact that when the characters first arrive into the park, the first thing that you see when they see the dinosaur is not the dinosaur itself. So Spielberg doesn't show the dinosaur to the audience first. You first see the reactions that the characters are having to seeing the dinosaur, and then he shows you the dinosaur. By doing this, he prepares the audience and he tells them what they're about to see is simply amazing, and it increases the excitement and the hype at seeing this wonderful creature. If it had been done the other way around, if the audience first sees the dinosaur and then we see the character's reaction, I don't think it would work as well as it does. It wouldn't have that emotional impact because the audience would just see the dinosaur and it's just like, okay, I'm watching the dinosaur, it looks great. But that whole hyping up, the level of excitement just growing and the suspense building, it wouldn't work as well. But Spielberg is also a master in directing his actors. And I think that nowhere is this more visible than with the kids. The kids in this film are absolutely great. Both Joseph Mazzello and Ariana Richards, I love their performances. They're not as annoying as some other kid stars might be. I simply love what Spielberg does with his actors. And you have to take into consideration that their reactions, the way that some of the actors are reacting to the special effects, was the first time that this was happening. Due to the CGI innovations that the film has, they were basically reacting to nothing, and this hadn't happened before. And so I think that it's just amazing how Spielberg directed the actors into reacting to something that wasn't there. And this was the first time that many of them were doing it. It works beautifully. And I think that it's both a test to the actor's ability, but also to Spielberg's directing abilities as well. So yeah, no complaints there. It's just a brilliant masterclass in directing. So let's talk about the characters. John Hammond, as played by Richard Attenborough. He's one of my favorite characters, and what I love about him is the fact that he's basically playing Walt Disney, had Walt Disney's dreams crashed and burned. The journey this character goes through is brilliant. It's such a tragic journey. At the beginning, he's extremely hopeful. He's really happy because he's finally achieved his big dream. As he said, he didn't want to show the audience an illusion. He wanted them to show them something real that they could touch and see with their own eyes. But as the film progresses and things get worse, he still maintains hope. He's very positive about this, and he's like, well, next time we'll do better. Next time we'll be able to achieve it. I've seen my errors and I can correct them. And everyone is telling him, no, John, this is over. And yet he's very stubborn. He's like, no. He refuses to accept that he has failed. Up until the end, when he's about to leave in the helicopter. And the expression that Richard Attenborough shows, the emotions that he's conveying through his face, that's brilliant. That's of a man that has known that he has failed and that he will never be able to achieve his dream. It's such a tragic journey. I adore it. Now, let's move on to Alan Grant, as played by Sam Neill. What I love about this character is the duality that Sam Neill brings, and that both Sam Neill and the script bring to the character. There is this side of Alan Grant that loves dinosaurs. I'm going to call it his childish side, in which he loves dinosaurs. He's very passionate about them, and yet his rational side is telling him that Jurassic Park, the whole concept behind bringing dinosaurs back to life, is wrong and it's dangerous. And you can see in various scenes how these two sides of his personality are clashing, because he wants to tell Hammond that he shouldn't be doing this, and yet he's enjoying, and he's being very emotional about watching the dinosaurs for the first time in real life. This aspect is further explored in Jurassic Park 3, and that film absolutely nails the character development or the character exploration as to Alan Grant. And I think that it presents us the basic concept of what lies behind the idea behind the character, with the conversation that Alan Grant has with Eric Carvey regarding the difference between an astronaut and an astronomer. And that right there is what defines Alan Grant and what makes him such a great character, because he's struggling between these two sides of his personality. And obviously, Sam Neill just brings in so much humor to the character, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, in terms of like, this is a character, it's such a joy to watch and it's so much fun. But talking about funny, we have to talk about Ian Malcolm, as played by Jeff Goldblum. My God, this guy is hilarious. He's been a huge influence in my own sense of humor about the sarcasm that he brings. I've applied it in my life all the time. So I love Ian Malcolm. And after all, he is the voice of reason in Jurassic Park. But as he says, no one ever listens to him. I really like that of the character. Ellie Sattler, as played by Laura Dern, she's a fantastic, strong female character. She's smart, she's brave, she's feminine, but yet she's still human. She's equal to her male counterparts. When she gets scared, it's something that her male counterparts would be scared too. And she can do everything the guys can do. I love that, and I think that sometimes her character is overlooked when people are talking about very strong female characters. They talk about Sarah Connor or Ellen Ripley. People should add to that list Ellie Sattler, because she's great. She's fantastic in the role. And I just want to do some shout outs to some of the other minor characters. Obviously the kids, as I've said, they're great. Joseph Masello as Tim and Ariana Richards as Lex. I love them. They're a joy to watch. Samuel L. Jackson is just fantastic in the role. I love the way that he gets annoyed by Nedry. And, he's iconic in that role. Hold on to your butts once again. Great line. Bob Peck and Martin Ferrero have great moments. Muldoon, Bob Peck as Muldoon with the clever girl. And I love Martin Ferrero's Gennaro when he says we can have a coupon day or something. Brilliant. Even though their appearances are shorter, I think that they make quite an impression. And last but not least, Wayne Knight as Dennis Nedry. I love the little quirks that Wayne Knight gives to Nedry. The way that he portrays how nervous he is, and yet how cocky he is that he has been able to cheat Ingen and help Biosyn. I love his character. It's great to watch, and I love seeing him get his comeuppance. There's this little element of me that goes like, oh, but I like Nedry. But, I think that's a testament to how wonderful the performance by Wayne Knight is. I feel like I have to talk about the effects, at least give them a shout out. Everyone knows how perfect they are. But I still feel a need to just, say some things about them. First and foremost, the effects hold up to this day. To this day, the dinosaurs look realistic, whether they are animatronic or they are CGI. So kudos to both Stan Winston with the animatronics and to Dennis Muren with the digital versions of the dinosaurs. Yeah, I don't think the film would have been as successful if it weren't for those two guys, and they should be recognized as much as Spielberg was. But I also want to talk about the sound effects, and my God, they are fantastic. I don't know how people can come up with how a dinosaur sounds, but Gary Wrightstrom did a fantastic job. The dinosaur sounds in this film are iconic. Just think the T-Rex roar or the Velociraptor sounds. They're brilliant, and they have been, those sounds have been ingrained in popular culture as to how dinosaurs sound. They have become the definite versions as to how dinosaurs would sound. So yeah, that's I think a big recognition to Gary Wrightstrom's work, and I just felt it's something that's not often recognized as much as the visual effects are. So yeah. Fantastic sound effects, and it's one of the things that make the film so compelling, definitely. As well as also, I've got to mention the background noises. The ambience noise. It just gives the whole film a fantastic level of ambience. The insects or the mysterious sounds that you hear in the background, the dinosaurs roars. It's brilliant because it adds to the atmosphere and creates the tension and creates this level of just like otherworldliness. I can barely pronounce that, I'm sorry, but it just feels like a different world, like the prehistoric world, and that just helps the film work so well. That it's why it achieves that component that I was talking about at the beginning, that it transports you into another reality for 2 hours. Just fantastic work. John Williams. I love him. I love this guy. He's my favorite musician. I love him. So yeah, the score is just perfect. Jurassic Park theme is my favorite piece of music ever. I love it. It's my most listened piece of music. I love it, and I love the way that it enhances the whole experience that you're watching it. Just think about the Brachiosaurus scene without that music. I think that scene works because of the visual effects, because of the sound effects, and because of the music. And if it weren't for the music, that scene wouldn't work. It's very much like Jaws in that aspect. Jurassic Park wouldn't work as well if it weren't for John Williams' amazing scores. And it's not just about the main theme. The Raptors theme is brilliant. Dennis steals the embryo. I love that part of that musical cue. And the suspense music that plays when Muldoon and Ellie arrive at the scene of the T-Rex attack, or when Ellie is starting to activate the switches for the individual park systems. It really adds to the whole experience. I've got to tell you, the Jurassic Park score was the one that got me into film score, which now amounts to 90% of my playlist. So yeah, that's a testament as to how good John Williams' score for this film is. So yeah, there's not a lot more to say about it except that it's basically perfect. Wow, and that I really love John Williams. I loved you, John. I really do. Having said that, I do have some thoughts. No, not really. I do have some minor issues with the film. There are some sequences that I think have some mistakes in there that just don't work as well as they should be. Number one, the geography in the T-Rex attack scene makes no sense whatsoever. And I've seen, and I know I'm not the only one who has seen this and that it's bothered by this, but the moat comes out of nowhere. Because it just makes no sense that there's a moat in there. Otherwise, how could the T-Rex walk into the main road? And I've seen some explanations going that, there's a patch of land that actually reaches the road, and that's where the T-Rex crosses, and immediately after there's the moat. However, the way that it's shot, it just doesn't make any sense, because the car where the kids are appears to be right next to where the T-Rex comes out of, or very close to. And it's not dragged a couple of meters or so. It's just there, and then it falls down. And that moat, that cliff appears out of nowhere. It's just, I just think it's just a big mistake by the filmmakers, either Spielberg or the production designer, Rick Carter. But and I've seen, it's such a mistake. It's a mistake that it was so simple to fix. Either have the cliff be on the other side of the road, problem solved, or just have the T-Rex push the vehicle down the road for a couple of meters, and then you can have the cliff appear there. It's there, but it's a very contradictory. The way it's shot, it appears to be very contradictory, and it appears out of nowhere. Number two, I think that some of the buildings look a bit small for theme park, particularly the raptor paddock. It just doesn't seem to be able to hold 3 adult raptors. Sometimes, even the visitor center looks a little, appears to be a little small. I would have gone for a much grander scale, like what they did in Jurassic World, which is one of the positive aspects of that film. Number 3, The scene, and this bugs me so much. Number 3, the scene where Alan and Ellie are trying to hold the door so that the raptor doesn't get in, and they're like, I can't hold it anymore, and it's just like, and Alan is just telling Ellie, get the gun, and Ellie is just trying to reach for the gun with her feet and everything, and it's just like, I can't reach it, and I'm like, hello, Timmy is there, he can get you the gun, and he's not helping Lex at all. Just call him out, tell him, Tim, dear, can you help me pick up the gun and bring it here? It's just that simple. I'm sorry, but that scene is just that scene. I'm like, Tim, go help them. But I digress. And number 4, the lysine contingency. This is a minor plot point, but I just feel like it's irrelevant. They shouldn't have brought it up. I know it's in the novel, but it leads nowhere. It's not mentioned again, and even in the sequel, The Lost World, they just bring it up in a throwaway line, like, yeah, this is how they solved the lysine contingency, but it just feels, I don't know, it just cheapens, I think, the whole plot. I wouldn't have brought it over unless they were going to do something with it, and it just feels like it's a remnant of an old script or something. But nonetheless, I think those are some of the minor nitpicks I have with the film. And things that could have been easily corrected, but they don't, honestly, they don't in any way affect my enjoyment of the film. So, in conclusion, Your Honor, the film's still great. It's just an amazing film. It's such a classic, and it's one of my favorite films. As I've said, it's probably the film I've watched the most. And above all, I think it's the film that made me fall in love with films. It holds a very special place in my heart because it changed my life. It showed me what my passion is. And to this day, I still enjoy that passion, and my passion for this movie is still going strong. I still have actually some of the toys that came out back in 1993. I've built some Legos from Jurassic Park as well. I've got a poster of the film in my room, actually. I've got numerous t-shirts, as you can see. I've read multiple times the novels. This is my special edition book from Barnes & Noble. I listen to the music all the time. I love visiting the Jurassic Park rides, both in Universal Studios Hollywood and Islands of Adventure. And I even buy the same shaving cream that they use in the film. I know it's not the red one, but I prefer it with aloe vera. But yeah, my fandom for Jurassic Park is still going strong. For me, it's the perfect film to escape. It makes me feel good every time I watch it. And isn't that the reason we all go to the movies, to escape for a while from reality and just feel good? And Jurassic Park, well, I can't think of any other film as Jurassic Park that makes me just have that great and amazing feeling. So thank you for watching, and let me know down in the comments below your opinion on Jurassic Park, and let me also know which film for you is your Jurassic Park. Which film made you fall in love with films and with movies in general. I know for some people it's Star Wars, but I'm curious to know what's your Jurassic Park. And if you like this video, please subscribe, and I'll be uploading more content like this in the future. Thank you so much, and have a great day.